Hi there, and welcome to the second video of Mastering the Young Band. Today I want to start with a tip for our second and third year players, then we'll get to our beginner tip halfway through the video. Today I want to talk about metronome tuners and microphones and how I use these with the young band. When I first saw these devices, I saw them at the Midwest Clinic with a fantastic high school band, probably about 10 years ago. Around 2012 is when it seems like these kind of started getting big in the market. I saw a band using them, I talked to the band director about it, and I went and actually bought a class set of them. I just wanted to make sure this was something I was going to use. So I got a classroom set and then experimented with my band. And once I used it for a year, I said, okay, this is something that I want my kids to just purchase and have. And so now I actually even have my beginners get these. How I use these in my band room is a couple of things. So for my second and third year players, and we even do this in beginning band too, the first step with the tuner is to just get them to play with a steady sound, is what we talk about. Play a note and try not to let the needle move. Don't care where the needle is too much at the beginning when we start with these. Just play and see if you can keep your needle steady. We'll do that on concert F. Then what I'll do is I'll have the kids unplug their microphone. They have their tuner on their stand, and then we'll go down the row and have different sections, different kids play, and we'll talk about what we saw. What section or what kid had the best steady straight line sound? Which student started great and then the last couple of beats, it dipped flat? And why did that happen? Next thing, how did somebody do with their sound? Why was it moving so much? And then we find out, well, they were moving around a lot. They're just physically moving. So we talk about how to get a straight line sound and keep it steady. Then the next step is the big one, and that's getting what I call your sound on zero. I don't say in tune. I don't say, to tune that note or your intonation. We talk about literally getting your sound on zero in the center of the tuner. With the brass, we talk a lot about how brass players, when their teeth are closed and they close this up, they play sharp. So we do an exercise where we start with our teeth closed and we slowly with the tuner on, and they see their sound go from sharp to zero, and then of course they even go a little bit flat because they're middle school kids and they love hyperbole. And we just practice that. We practice manipulating the pitch with the jaw, with the brass. I actually don't talk to them too much about their lip pressure or anything here. At first we just talk purely about the jaw. Then flutes, we talk about airspeed. We talk about how they're playing their notes and they're typically going flat on their last counts because they're running out of air. Reed instruments, clarinets, we talk about, are we firm enough? Saxophones, are we playing so sharp because we're pinching too much? We need to open our jaw. It's amazing the similarities between saxophone and brass with that jaw shape. And then of course, double reeds, about the reed strength, that kind of thing. So we spend a lot of time just getting our sound on zero. We do the same activity where we'll go down the row. We'll purposely have kids go from sharp to zero to flat, manipulating pitch, just watching how students do it. And then of course we work on just having it start, stay, and stop on zero. And that's the biggest step. Once you can get kids to do that, you've really made a lot of progress with them to get their sound. That's how you get those nice open sounds. And it's amazing when you get your band pretty much playing on zero, they play a concert F, and it's so much different than when you have kids all over the map. I do use these for more advanced concepts such as the major third, the minor third, and some different, scale intonation concepts, but that's more in the second and third year, and I don't want to get too deep into that now. But if you haven't considered using these with your program, they're fantastic. They are a tool. The end game is still to have kids hear what they're doing, and I use a tremendous amount of drones. I don't know if you can see behind me that green sign. That actually says, I heart drones. I use the harmony director constantly, and I'm droning pitches all the time. And it's amazing how our kids match pitch pretty well anyway, even without these. But it's good to have that visual representation so they can see what they're hearing. And for kids that maybe don't have as developed hearing, these really help them. So that's my 8 second and third year tip of the week. For beginners, something I would really recommend you teach your beginners from that first week or second week of school is what I call the 2-count breath. The 2-count breath is just simply that. It's your kids breathe in for 2 counts before they play. And I teach this from day one with my beginners. Now what I do with beginners, I'm an advocate for they need to breathe through their nose first, not their mouth. That way they can get their embouchure set. breathe in through their nose and play. And then around mid to late September, I'll transition them to actually breathing through the corners, in through their mouth. Here's how the 2-count breath works when you teach your beginners. You just show them, you go, okay, here's the 2-count breath. Watch me. I set my metronome to 72, and I go 1, 2. 1, 2. Then I have them do it with me. I don't mention too much about the tongue hitting on those first days. Some kids will just do it naturally, some kids won't, but then we practice it together. Turn the metronome on, I get their posture set, they tap their toe. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, and so on. And we usually do groups of 4, take a break, talk about it, groups of 2. Some things to watch out for. You will get kids that explode their air. And you show them that, go, what was wrong with that? Yeah, I exploded my air. And you don't want them to do that, because when they start playing on their instrument, then that's when you get the cheek puff and then you get the blasts of sound. Okay? That 2-count breath, and I'll talk about this more in another video with my 2nd and 3rd year players, that is a great way of calming your rehearsal down, getting more air intake with your kids. I started using the 2-count breath about 3 or maybe 4 years ago, and I just love it with my bands. It just gets everything calm. It gets a nice deep breath, but do start that with your beginners. And then when you count them off on anything, whether it's a technique exercise out of their warm-ups, whether it's a rhythm counting, whether it's something out of their book, always do that 2-count breath. So like in a beginning class, let's say that we are playing a line out of our method book. I'll go, okay, number 25, beginning, here we go, set, metronome's on. 1, 2, and then they play. And it's amazing when you say set, count off, and then they breathe, it just calms the room down. It's a really cool tool for getting more air and just getting the kids focused. So it's the 2-count breath. Try it with your bands. I think you'll like it. It's just a really easy, fast tool to get your kids to breathe deeper and to also just get the room calm. Enjoy.